Hi. Um, it's late. I am tired. I've been reading for the last 2 hours. And then I realized we have more stuff going on this weekend, or I do at least. And I just couldn't think of any time this weekend that I could actually get my weekly wrap up filmed. So here we are. I'm in my PJs. I'm in my rattiest sweatshirt. My hair's a mess because when I'm reading and lying in bed, I do this a lot. So the curls just fluff up, but you know what? We're rocking with it. What have I finished since last week? Okay, so I finished book 3 of the In Death series, Immortal in Death by J.D. Robb. So like I said of the first 2 books, these books are essentially very structured, same plot beats, same character beats as urban fantasy with a veneer of like CSI or Law and Order over it, where Eve is just like Olivia Benson, but with a little more aggressiveness, I would say. Eve is very aggressive. Eve is very violent. Put a pin in that. We'll come back to that later. So in this one, first off, I just could not get past, and I don't care how much it was brought up in the text and how it was lampshaded. There is no absolute freaking way. I don't care what world you're in, especially if your cop world is still similar to ours, which is the way this one is. There's no way that Eve's best friend, who is accused of murder in the home of the man that her best friend is in love with, the man who is designing her wedding dress, Eve's wedding dress, there's no absolute way that Eve is going to be the primary in that case. Do not care. My suspension of disbelief does not go that far. Sorry. So that was strike 1. Strike 2 was the plot, was the mystery stupid. I disliked it. I disliked everything about it. I disliked who the murderer ended up being and why. Yeah, don't have much to say about that. 3, Eve and Rourke. So there's a moment where Rourke says something. These two are 2 sort of alpha-ish characters, and I keep putting this in urban fantasy terms because that is the framework that my mind keeps wanting to go back to. Eve is a very aggressive, stoic person who is not very emotionally in touch with her emotions. Oh my god, that reminds me, we're going to... Ooh, so many issues with this. Eve has issues being emotionally open. Rourke has issues being emotionally open, but he's a little bit more emotionally open than Eve. But his emotions are couched in this very alpha, protective, jealous, you are mine, possessive bullshit that is just tiring. So they butt heads. They come back together, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm supposed to find it cute that Rourke enjoys it when Eve gets very aggressive and literally, Rourke says something to Eve and she punches him in the gut and tells him not to say that again or something like that. And he's just like, oh, I love it. Like, it's just a playful thing between them. And I'm just like, no. No. I literally don't have anything else to say. No. Yeah, okay, so number 4, now that I've thought about it again, we continue to explore the child sexual abuse that Eve experienced, and we continue to have Eve have nightmares and flashbacks that are graphic. Why? Like, you can have so much of Eve's emotional exploration of her past and facing her trauma without actually putting that trauma on page. Now, this is book 3. I know this is an aspect of the book. I was prepared for it, but holy God, I feel so sorry for anybody who experienced child sexual trauma and genuinely has triggers for it, who went into any of these books without content warnings. Nora, what is happening here? Like, I haven't read enough Nora Roberts to know if this is like out of the norm for her, you know, with this JD Robb pen name. Like, was she purposefully being extra dark as fuck just to have like a different pen name and completely separate this from her regular work? Yeah, so I'm reading book 4. I know I just ranted about all of that, but like I said, these are easy to read. They're just so easy to just turn my brain off and consume a story. But I think unless I start to see like some inkling of where things really take off and why this book series is so beloved that it is going on to like almost 60 freaking books, like 30 years later. This series is 30 years old. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, that was Immortal in Death. Great time that was. I think I put 3 stars when I first marked as finished on Goodreads, but now that I have said all of that, I can't think of anything good to counteract any of that, so I'm probably just gonna bump it down to 1.5. And yet I'm reading book 4. Yeah, you can roast me all you want for that. I will deserve it. Next thing that I read, on a much lighter note, Ascendance of a Bookworm, Volume 2. This is an isekai manga, and an isekai is when a character, the premise of an isekai is that a character from our world, for whatever reason, is reincarnated, shows up in a secondary world. Typically, the character dies in our world and then is reincarnated in some fashion in a secondary world. And this one, this woman who absolutely loves books dies and is reincarnated in the body of this young child in a world that is very sort of like medieval England-esque, where there's no literacy, nobody reads, there's very few books. It's very much like the only people who read or write books are those in trades that need them, and the only books that exist are like very, very rare and handmade. This turns out to be very slice of life. It's very cute. I would call it even cozy in some aspects. And while I love that, those are genuinely like keywords that I love when I'm looking for stuff like this. This volume just kind of meandered over the line from cozy slice of life to boring. And I don't think that I'll be continuing on with this series. As cute as it is, as interesting as the premise is, the art is really fantastic. It was just boring. But let me bring up, just flip through some pages, look at the art. Like, it really is really good art. Just really lovely panel work, lovely character work. The translation is also really good. I can't fault it for that either. It's just, oh, here's some great stuff. It's just fantastic. I wish I liked it more. I wish I enjoyed it more to go on, but I'm not. How cute is that on the back? Yeah, so Ascendance of a Bookworm. I think I gave this one 4 stars. Like, it is genuinely good, enjoyable, but I just not enough for me to continue on with the series. So I'm glad I tried it out. Glad I tried out the first 2 volumes, but I am putting this down. What was next? I bought more books, so I'm gonna do a book haul after this, but bought books and immediately started reading My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. I really enjoy Stephen Graham Jones. I had not yet gotten to this series because I think I tried it out when it first came out, and the writing, I just bounced off the writing very hard. And now that I am almost done with it, as you can see, like I have been chugging through this since Tuesday, so it's only been a few days. I can see why past me bounced off of this so hard, and I can see why many people would bounce off of it. This is essentially a very incredibly character-driven piece. There is a plot to essentially... the plot is that Jade Daniels is a freshly graduated teenager in this small town. She is Indian, and she is obsessed with horror slasher movies to the point where like everything she relates to is she relates to slasher movies. She's the outcast kid. She's the loner kid. She's the one who wears thick eyeliner and is kind of gothy and is a loner. And dyes her hair, has terrible hair dye jobs. She works as a janitor at the school and, you know, in various places around town. Then across the lake from this small town, these rich people are building very expensive homes. And one of the rich people is a teenage girl that she meets, and Jade is convinced that this girl, Letha, is a final girl and that a slasher cycle is about to start. So that's the plot, as much as the plot is. Now, I am enjoy is not the word. I don't know that this is so hard to talk about because it is such a chaotic roller coaster ride, because what Stephen Graham Jones has done here is created just an absolute pinhole spotlight into the mindset of this character. Like, when you are reading this, you are Jade, period. You are Jade. Like, that's it. And Jade is hard to read. Jade is hard to live in. She is so damaged and so broken, and we're not really clear why, but also we know, but it's just, he just fucking outstanding writing and character work in terms of the narrative work and the oh my God. Like, I don't even have words. It's just so fucking good. But that is also what is very hard to really connect with in this, is that Jade is a hard character to be in, and you are Jade. If you're not into that project, if you start slipping away from this at any moment, I can see people bouncing off of this and not enjoying it, DNFing it, giving it 1-2 stars. Absolutely, completely understand that now. I DNF'd it, you know, I paused essentially very long, like 2-year, 3-year pause, whatever. But I can see why now. This is an incredible work. I think this is an incredible work of literary horror. I am not a slasher connoisseur, so a lot of the very metatextual slasher stuff, and when I say Jade is metatextual about slashers, I mean that 99.9% of this book is slasher stuff. There's no getting around that. Jade relates to the world through slashers. Period. Like, you have to be on board with that to be on board with this book. And I can see why many people would bounce off of it. But to come up with that conceit for a character and to build this absolutely stunningly fully realized, rounded, broken, amazing character in Jade Daniels, like, absolute fucking bravo. Like, I already enjoyed Stephen Graham Jones. I read The Babysitter something, the audio only one. I own the one about puppets, the map of something. Oh my God. It's late. Remember, it's late. I don't remember all of this. But I've read some of his stuff. I own The Only Good Indians, and I still have to read that. I want to buy Mongrels now and just kind of track down everything he's writing, because I am amazed. Like, I am genuinely amazed at what he's doing here. Am I enjoying myself? Maybe not. But it's like watching a slasher. It's like watching a train wreck. I cannot look away. Like, look at it. That's how, like 3 days. And this is a pretty chunky book for being a horror novel. So, give it a try. You will know very, very, very quickly if the writing and character work and Jade is for you or not. And if you bounce off of it, totally cool. Don't blame you. But I can't recommend this enough. I'm in the climax essentially, and I want to keep reading, but I gotta sleep. And like this is trying to convince me to stay awake and finish the book tonight, but I've already spent today like feeling kind of meh. Like this week has been a very long week at work, and I can't do it. I gotta be an old 39-year-old and go to bed. But yeah, so glad that I finally picked this up and gave it a second chance. And I not only have this, but moving on to the book haul portion, because what did I say? I'm on a book buying ban. We're just gonna cast that away. We're not talking about that anymore. I have Don't Fear the Reaper. I pulled the trigger on both of these because they were actually both on a Barnes & Noble buy one get one 50% off table. So I was like, okay, fine, that's my sign. That was my sign. So very glad I had this, but I'm also now very upset that I'm enjoying the first one so much because I'm going to have to wait forever to get the paperback for The Angel of Indian Lake, because that only just came out like this month, I think. So if I want to match, I'm going to have to wait a year for the third book in paperback. What else did I get? I went to the bookstore because Yona of the Dawn 41 is out on Tuesday, but my bookstore sometimes puts stuff out early, and they happen to have this out early, so I'm so fucking excited! I haven't talked about Yona on the channel yet because I was all caught up. This new volume didn't come out until now. I love this manga series. This is my absolute favorite manga series, and I want everybody to read it. It is essentially, it starts as this princess Yona. She is very sheltered. She's very sweet. She's kind of a crybaby. And this is not spoiler, like deep spoilers. It happens like the first volume. Her father is murdered by someone that she was supposed to be betrothed to, that she grew up with as a child. And she runs away with this other guy that she also grew up with. The three of them grew up as best friends as children. So Yona and Hawk is the guard that she runs away with. And I was interested at first. It was like, it did more than I thought the story was going to do. And then it just kept going and became this amazing, fantastic, just deeply, intricately plotted political fantasy, sort of like Gathering the Magical Band together, political fantasy. Now that we're this deep in the story, there are character work and storylines coming together that is just, I love Yona. I love the main characters around her. I love the story. Every single volume is fantastic. I don't think I've rated anything under a 5. I think literally every single volume I've rated 5 stars. I can't rate it anything lower than that. So if you're looking to get into manga, if any of that sounds interesting to you, definitely check out Yona. I can't speak highly of this enough. So I'm probably going to read this right away. No, I'm going to finish Don't Fear the Reaper first, and then I'm going to read Yona and come back to all of my favorite characters here. And then I will talk about this, I guess, next week and gush about it, even though I probably won't be able to tell you anything because it's volume 41 and everything will be a spoiler. But so excited. There's my baby girl. She's amazing. So that's Yona of the Dawn 41. I was talked into buying Murder Your Employer, Volume 1, The McMaster's Guide to Homicide by Rupert Holmes. This actually is a very pretty paperback. And I bought it because for May, Barnes & Noble does like our pick books. So they pick a range of books across genres. And for that month, whenever you buy stuff, and I think if you're a member, those books, you can buy them for 50% off. So this book was like $9. And I've been kind of interested. I've been eyeing it since it came out last year. And so it just seems like a very meta novel about murderers and murder mysteries. So I've been kind of getting into that lately. And then I found out that the author Rupert Holmes is the Rupert Holmes of the frickin' Escape the Pina Colada song. if you like pina coladas. Yeah, that Rupert Holmes. He like, yeah. So excited to get into this. Whenever I get into it, I'm gonna add it to my meta mystery stack, and I'll get there someday. And finally, complete impulse buy. Song of the Six Realms by Judy I. Lin. This is very beautiful. Her previous duology was, it was also a Chinese-inspired fantasy duology. This is young adult. Very similar cover to this, and it's just beautiful. The colors spoke to me. The story sounds interesting, and then y'all don't understand. Look up. Okay, first of all, those are pretty, very pretty colors here, but the crowning glory, the end papers. For a basic $20 YA hardcover, I think this is a Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, but beautiful. So yeah, I bought it. I still have not read her Tea duology. So you could say out of all the books I've bought so far this year, this and maybe like A Fate Inked in Blood were pure, like, beautiful cover buys. Not the best decisions, but it's happened. It's here. It's beautiful. I own it. I need a little bit of a close-up. It's so pretty, and look at the light on the purple. Yeah. No regrets. No regrets. Yeah. So that's everything. That's what I've read. Obviously I'm currently reading Don't Fear the Reaper. My TBR is a whatever I get to. I need to make my next read after Don't Fear the Reaper and after Yona. I do need to get back to my library books, and especially try one of the ones that I borrowed for the Hugo and Nebula reading project I'm doing. I think a chunk of them, the first ones I got, probably, I think I've run out of times I can renew them, but I can just, put another hold in and pick them up again. So I'm thinking for that, I don't know, it's either going to be Shigidi and the Brass Head of Obalufan or The Saint of Bright Doors. One of those are probably going to be what I pick up next. Or I could go in a completely different direction, do The Crane Husband. So who knows? We'll see where my mood takes me, because I am a mood reader and planning TBRs is not my strong suit. But yeah, thanks for going on this late night journey with me. I'm sure I look a little crazed. It was an experience. Yeah. Okay. I did find a tiny bit of time. It's the next day. Went to downtown LA today to do an escape room with friends, and when I head down that direction, I usually try to hit by the last bookstore on the left, which is a used and new bookstore in LA. It's pretty famous in LA, and it's a really cool bookstore. But they tend to carry a lot of used books, and one of the things that I'm doing is trying to collect in print mass market paperback. I know that is kind of an unpopular opinion on the bookish internet today, but I love mass markets. So I'm trying to collect in mass market paperback all of the Vorkosigan Saga by Lois, McMaster, Bujold. And I found 3 today. So that's 3 of them. Decent quality. If you could tell, they actually look pretty good. So they are aged because they're used, but they're in good condition. So the first is Diplomatic Immunity. Sorry, I got the ring light on. The next is Ethan of Athos, and after that is Komar. So I'm not buying these in any like super specific order. I'm just buying the ones I don't have and filling in my collection. I'm trying to read in somewhat chronological way. So chronologically, I'm only like 3 books into the saga, but I'm really enjoying it. I love her writing, and I'm just trying to collect the whole thing. So I have these 3 to join, hang on a sec, to join the 3 I already have, which I actually found in a very small used bookstore by my home. So this is the Vorkosigan, Mirror Dance, and Brothers in Arms. I'm hoping, so there was a copy of Shards of Honor, which is the very first one I read and absolutely loved, but it was way more beat up than this copy. So I'm waiting to find a better used copy of that. So these are the 3 that I previously owned, and these were the 3 that I bought today. So I want to check in really quick and show that tiny little book haul. And today I decided to take the train in, And that was mostly because I wanted to read, and I ended up finishing My Heart is a Chainsaw. What a freaking book. I already talked at length about this. It's absolutely stuck the landing. I really hope that if anybody was watching my face while I was reading the last 30 or so pages of this, that they got an entertaining show, because I was just astounded, shocked, surprised, grossed out, unsure of what was going on, but just absolutely fucking outstanding work that Stephen Graham Jones has done. So 5 stars, one of my favorite reads of this year, and I don't know how soon I will jump into Don't Fear the Reaper, but I'm glad that I own it, and this is just beautiful. And then after that, I took a couple of novellas with me, because I knew I was going to finish that and still would have time on the train, especially coming back home, to read something else. So I started The Butcher of the Forest by Premee Mohamed. This is a new novella that came out this year. I am 46 or so pages into it. Very atmospheric. Only thing I know so far is that this is set in some fantasy world where there's this mysterious, dark, creepy forest where our main character, Varys, once when she was younger went into the forest and came back alive, which never happens. And now she's being forced to go back in to find the 2 children of the main tyrant king of this area, who forces her to go back in or he will kill her family. And she's just this far in. It's very atmospheric. She has really just sort of made her way into the forest and getting a feel for how weird things are. And I'm not sure where it's going, but I'm very intrigued, and we'll see how this goes. I might finish this tonight. Who knows? So yeah, super excited. Finished Don't Fear the Reaper. Starting a new book. Don't know when I'm going to go on to next. The Butcher of the Forest is really a whim. Just grabbed it and threw it into my bag. Actually, I do know Yona is going to be next. Yona 41 is going to be next. But after that, it's up in the air. So again, let me know what you have read this week. Out of everything that I've read, what you have, if you've read and enjoyed any of them, I would love to hear about it. And me and my husband's Too Small Final Girl shirt in honor of Don't Fear the Reaper will catch you next week.